Hi everyone. So today we are discussing the Leetcode question called sort colors. It is based on the algorithm that's called Dutch national flag, and we'll come to what this algorithm is about. So in here we use three pointer technique, just to be clear. So we have taken an example here which say we have a nums array with the elements 2, 0, 2, 1, 1, 0, and we have to sort the colors. Let's say red is denoted by number 0, white is denoted by number 1, and blue is denoted by 2. Our array will only consist of values in the range 0 to 2 inclusive, which will denote these three colors, and we have to make sure that all the zeros go to the front, followed by ones and then twos. How do we use, how do we do this in a single iteration? We will use Dutch national flag algorithm. So how do we go about this? We will basically use this example to understand that flow. So here you see we have three pointers, which is like low, mid and high. High, as you see, we have initialized it to the last element of the array. Low is by intuition the first element of the array, so it points to the 0th index. And mid as well here, unlike traditionally how it is used, we have started this from 0. And this is a point worth remembering in Dutch national flag algorithm. So we see that, so just to be clear, our mid will traverse the unprocessed elements and make sure the elements go at the right place. So right now our nums of mid is 2. Ideally 2 should go at the end of the array, right? So whenever we encounter a 2, what we'll do is we will shift that value to end of the array, and whatever is there at nums of high, we will swap it to nums of mid, and we'll then decrement high, but we won't increment mid. Why? Because we've still not processed the nums at mid. That swapped number from high could be anything. It could be 0 or 1 or even 2. We don't know. So we'll also process that, and then only we'll move the midpoint. So right now what we are going to do is we are going to swap the values at mid and high and decrement high, right? So when we do that, our high is decremented here in this iteration. As you see, 2 is there at the end. Now we have 1, 2 at the end, which is at the correct position. Now our nums of mid is 0, and this 0 should ideally go to the low element, because low is the index where the next 0 should go. Now in here, since the low and mid are pointing to the same index, we are going to literally swap nums of low and nums of mid, and then we are going to increment low, since our low now has correct element 0, and we are also going to increment mid because we've processed that index, right? So when we do that, our low and mid have been incremented, and now my nums of mid is 0 again. Now this 0 should go where low is. So what we are going to do is we are going to swap the element at low and mid. In here it comes down to the same index. So now our 0 is at low. It should be at low. So now I'm going to increment low. And I've also processed mid element, so I'm also going to increment mid. In the next iteration, what happens is my low and mid have been incremented, right? Now I see I encountered a 2. Ideally, 2 should go at the end of the array. At the end, rather I say to the high index. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap the values as we did in the first iteration. We're going to swap nums of mid and nums of high. And then what we're going to do is we're going to decrement high, but we are not going to increment mid because we have not yet processed the new number at mid. So when we do that, our high is decremented here, 2 has come here, and 2 is at the correct position. Now you can see that my element beyond high is correctly placed, and my element on the left side of low is also correctly placed. Okay, now moving on. Now my nums of mid is 1. Where should 1 go? It should be there at mid itself. So we are going to increment mid. When we increment mid, we again encounter a 1. What are we going to do next? Increment mid again. Now we've incremented mid, but now we see that our mid exceeds the high index. This is where you see that we have actually sorted the array based on the colors red, white and blue, and our while loop will end here, where when my mid becomes greater than high. So this is my stopping condition, mid greater than high. So what was the intuition that we followed? Basically, low was the index where our next 0 would go. High was the index where our next 2 would go. And mid basically was traversing the unprocessed elements starting 0 till high inclusive. So here's the code. We have initialized low and mid to 0 and high to the last index of the array. So we have used mid is less than equal to high. Why mid is less than equal to high? Because high is the element where high is the index where the next 2 should go, but mid should process even the element at high, because as you remember, elements beyond index high were correctly placed, but not necessarily element at index I was correctly placed. So we need to process that as well. So we would have 3 cases. Our nums of mid would be either 0 or 1 or 2. If it was 0, this element should go to left, which is low. So now my we would swap low and mid index elements and increment low and mid pointer. If we encounter 2, we are going to swap high and mid element and decrement high. Else we are going to increment mid in case we encounter a 1. So that was it from my end. I hope I was able to explain this concept clearly. Thanks for watching. Bye.